We always hear that phrase, follow your dreams. But what about the price tag that comes with it? Today, we're going to explore the real and often hidden costs of ambition by looking at one person's incredible story. We're going to break down what it truly takes to turn a dream into reality. So let's just ask it straight up. How much does a dream really cost? And it's so easy to just think about money, right? But the true price, that's paid in effort, in risk, and in sacrifice. It's a question that's definitely worth asking before you take that first step. To really dig into this, we're going to follow the story of a young guy named Leo. His journey from just a simple idea to a business that the whole town loves is basically a masterclass in paying the price for a dream.
All right, so every good story has a hero and, well, a big problem. For Leo, the dream was huge, but the problem he was facing, it was even bigger.
In this right here, this is the massive gap that every dreamer has to figure out how to cross. On one side, you've got Leo's big ambition, becoming a successful entrepreneur, maybe building a chain of restaurants, and creating a better life for his family. But on the other side, that's his reality. His family was struggling just to get by. His dad was a mechanic, his mom cleaned houses. Our story really happens in that space right between the dream and the reality. And this piece of advice from his dad, it pretty much becomes the compass for his whole journey. Now, it's not meant to be discouraging, it's a reality check. It sets the expectation that nothing, absolutely nothing, is going to be handed to him. He has to earn every single step forward.
So what does he do? He starts small, super small. He just notices a simple need in his town that isn't being met. People loved fresh bread, but they had to travel really far to get it. His idea wasn't glamorous or complicated, it was just practical. He'd bring the bread to them. But of course, there was a tiny problem. He had no money to start. Okay, so this brings us to a really critical part of the story. With no money in his pocket, Leo's only real currency was his own determination. He had to convince someone, anyone, to take a risk on him.
And this is where he takes his first huge, scary leap of faith. He walks into a bakery in another town and approaches the grumpy owner, a guy named Mr. Anderson, with what we'd call a cold pitch. He's got no connections, no money, just an idea and a promise. He asks for a whole week's worth of bread on credit, which, you have to admit, is a huge gamble for the old baker. So when Mr. Anderson asks him the million-dollar question, why in the world should I trust you? Leo doesn't pull out a business plan or a list of references. He just had this simple, powerful statement. And you know what? It was enough. It was enough to convince the old baker to give him one shot.
And he did not waste that chance. His plan was so simple, but he executed it perfectly. He was out there greeting everyone with a ton of energy. He built trust by giving out free samples. He sold every single loaf, and this is the most important part, he kept his promise. He paid Mr. Anderson back that very same day. He proved that his determination was way more valuable than money.
But here's the thing about success. It just shows you the next bigger challenge. A customer suggested he should just bake his own bread so he could make more profit. The idea was exciting for sure, but it was also terrifying. I mean, he'd figured out how to sell, but he knew absolutely nothing about baking. Because as you can probably guess, with bigger dreams comes a much bigger price tag. Taking that next step meant he had to face a whole new set of challenges, and the cost of his dream was about to go way, way up. And man, this was the grind. He convinced Mr. Anderson to teach him, but that meant dragging himself to the bakery at 3 a.m. every single day. For weeks, he struggled. He made mistakes. He probably felt like giving up, but he didn't. After 2 weeks of just relentless effort, he finally baked the perfect loaf. And that persistence? That's what built his very first shop, Leo's Fresh Bakes.
But of course, just when he's finally getting somewhere, a new challenge pops up. A young guy named Eric opened a big, fancy new bakery right in the middle of town. And just like that, Leo wasn't the only game in town anymore, and his sales started to dip.
But instead of panicking or complaining, he got to work. He adapted. He realized he needed to be more than just a baker. He had to be a businessman. He started listening to his customers. He improved how his shop looked. He even taught himself how to decorate cakes by watching videos online. He just leveled up.
And then, just when it felt like he had finally made it through the storm, the ultimate test, a fire. A fire tore through his shop, damaging his equipment and threatening to turn his entire dream into ash. So this is it. This is the moment of truth, right? Everything's in ruins. Leo had to decide if he was willing to pay the ultimate price to keep his dream from dying.
So what does he do? He goes back to his mentor, Mr. Anderson, looking for answers. And his mentor's response is just perfect. He didn't give Leo a solution. He just reminded Leo that he was the solution, that his own history of hard work and believing in himself was the only answer he was ever going to need.
And what happens next is pretty incredible. See, Leo didn't just sit around waiting for a handout. He started baking again at home with whatever little he had left. And the community, they saw that unbreakable spirit and they rallied around him. People donated ingredients, gave him money, and even volunteered their time to help him rebuild. They supported him because he refused to give up on himself. So Leo's entire journey really boils down to 4 key lessons. 1. Dreams are paid for with hard work and sacrifice. 2. Failure is just information. It's not the end. It's a chance to get stronger. 3. If you help yourself first, that self-reliance actually attracts support from others. And finally, number 4, sometimes the absolute darkest moments come right before a breakthrough.
And on the day he finally reopened his new and improved bakery, Leo summed it all up perfectly. This is the core lesson right here. Nothing worthwhile is ever free. Success, respect, trust, all of it has to be earned. And that, of course, leaves us with one last question, but this one is for you. Leo started by just identifying a small need in his town. He didn't wait for a perfect business plan or a big pile of cash. So when you look at your own dream, what's the first small, real step you can take to start paying the price for it today?